If you caught my breakdown of St. Denis Medical, then you know they put us Filipino nurses in the spotlight. But not just any spotlight, but the spotlight that says, hey, we see you. And we're going to make jokes about you running the hospital. So it got me thinking, the so-called Filipino Mafia in healthcare. What's the deal? Are we a cultural flex, the backbone of the hospital? Or are we just another exclusive clique, keeping everyone else at a distance? Are we actually helping healthcare, or are we running it like a close-knit, family-organized crime business? As a Filipino nurse, I've seen all sides of this, the camaraderie, the cliques, and yup, even the potlucks. So today, we're breaking it all down. This isn't just about who's bringing the lumpia to the break room. It's about power, stereotypes, and whether or not we're truly thriving and not just surviving in a broken system. But let's start with the good stuff. Filipino nurses are like the Taylor Swift of healthcare, not just showing up, but dominating every chart and somehow making it look all effortless. We don't just clock in and out. We build community and support. When you're on a tough 12-hour shift, there's always one of us who will sneak you a plate of food and say, we got this. But it's not just about the food, it's about survival. It's knowing that someone has your back in a system that often doesn't have your back. Filipino nurses, we're known for our hustle. We'll pick up extra shifts, stay late, and somehow still show up the next day smiling. It's like we're auditioning for the Healthcare Olympics, but instead of gold medals, we get more pizza, and sometimes, if we're lucky, an extra lanyard. In a busy healthcare world where bedside manner is often sacrificed for efficiency, we Filipino nurses, we bring both. We understand how to make patients feel cared for, not just treated. But then there's the dark side. Not everyone sees the Filipino Mafia as a good thing. Some call it a support network. Others call it exclusive gatekeeping. It's like the healthcare version of Mean Girls. You can't sit with us unless you brought lumpia. This kind of behavior can lead others feeling excluded or sometimes even alienated. And let's pretend there's not pressure to fit in. If you're not part of the potluck committee or the karaoke night, you risk being seen as an outsider, even if you're Filipino. It's a double-edged sword. The same community that supports you can also suffocate you. But also, the term Filipino Mafia, it sounds cool, but it can also box us in. It brings us down to one-dimensional roles. Natural caregivers, reliable, and hardworking, but never leaders, innovators, or disruptors. But here's where things get serious. The Filipino Mafia isn't the problem. The system exploiting us is. The system exploiting us is the problem. Hospitals love Filipino nurses because we're seen as dependable, low maintenance, and unlikely to complain. It's like we're the iPhones of healthcare, reliable, versatile, and always expected to keep up with the updates. But this over-reliance comes at a cost, burnout. But let's talk about the part that no one's talking about. Corporate greed. While we're busy debating cliques and potlucks, administration is up there drafting their email about resilience and planning their next round of budget cuts. Administration exploits these cultural divisions to keep us from uniting against the real problem, which is a system that prioritizes profits over patients, profits over people. But this isn't just a healthcare issue. It's a cultural one. Filipinos love community. We love helping everyone out. We love helping each other out. It's ingrained in everything we do. It's why we show up with 5 dishes to a potluck to share with everybody. And it's also why we cover for coworkers on the holidays or while they're drowning in tasks. But in a broken system, even this community can be weaponized against us. But let's not forget, the Philippines is one of the largest exporters of nurses globally. For decades and decades, we filled staffing shortages across the world, often sacrificing our own personal well-being to keep these healthcare systems afloat. But let's go back to the term itself, Filipino Mafia. Is it empowering? Demeaning? Maybe both? It highlights our influence, sure, but it also stereotypes us, reducing our contributions to a single narrative. So is the Filipino Mafia saving healthcare or hurting it? Let's get real. We're saving healthcare because no one else will. While we're covering shifts, organizing potlucks, and keeping hospitals running, the system is quietly beating us into the ground. The real question isn't whether or not the Filipino Mafia is good or bad. The real question is, how long will we let the system exploit us before we say, that's enough? Because no amount of lumpia, no amount of potlucks, and no amount of community spirits will save understaffing, burnout, or corporate greed. That's not a job for the Filipino Mafia. That's a job for a healthcare system that actually values human lives over profits. And until that happens, we're not a mafia. We're just a life raft. But here's the truth. We're tired of keeping this broken system afloat. And when we decide to stop, let's see how well this sinking ship floats without us.